This is Shooting Spaces with Rich Baum and Brian Berkowitz.
Hello and welcome to Shooting Spaces. This is Brian Berkowitz from New York, although in Pennsylvania.
And this is Rich Baum from fantastically beautiful Sacramento, California. 87 degrees today, and I'm still in California. I don't get to go anywhere. But so where are you up there, Brian? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Right now I'm in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. For people.
What's it called? King of
Prussia. It's about a half hour west of Philadelphia, maybe 20 minutes west of Philadelphia.
What are you doing? What are you out there for?
I'm in a hotel room. For those watching on YouTube, you can, I think this is the first podcast video. I have a change of set. You don't see my usual fish poster and other things in the background. But yeah, there's a hotel room behind me. I'm finally going home tomorrow. I've been on the road an entire week, so it's been pretty exhausting. And I'm looking forward to going home and sleeping in my bed. But yeah, it's been fun. For those who have been following on my Instagram stories, I've been posting about this big project I'm working on, and it's exciting. Week 1 of 7 is coming to a close here. So we figured we'd get on the mic here on the road and record an episode.
Well, this is perfect because I posted in one of the groups that what would people like to see. And coming up, number 1 was talk about design and architectural photography. And that came up with what's Brian doing? And you're happen to be just doing architectural or you're doing, I guess, would you call it architectural or design work? Commercial photography.
Kind of what I'm doing, it's kind of in the middle. It's, I'm shooting interior retail spaces, luxury retail spaces. So the job is for Rolex, and I am shooting over the course of the next 3 months, 47 of their stores all over the Northeast. So it's crazy schedule, a lot of work, but a lot of time on the road, but it's exciting stuff.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're doing this all over the country. They've got a campaign doing in California.
Yeah, as far as I know, they're basically, especially when COVID hit, they decided to do this. They're splitting the country into different regions, and they're hiring other people from different regions to go out and shoot these stores so they can literally update all the pictures on Rolex.com when you use their store locator. So I happen to know, by coincidence, 2 other people from different regions that also got an RFP from Rolex. RFP is request for proposal, for those who don't know, who also got a proposal from other regions. So I'm handling the Northeast. Basically, I'm going, coincidentally, I'm not shooting anything in New York, but I'm going, I guess, as far west as Pittsburgh, as far south as Richmond, Virginia, and as far north as Burlington, Vermont, and everywhere in between. So it's going to be a long 3 months. But
well, I'd love to look at this. I can interview you because I've got a lot of questions. But before I ask you any questions, I just want to say that our sponsors, we have Cloud Pano sponsoring this episode. And I just want to say it's a great way to add revenue to my business, was to add 360 virtual tours. And I found Cloud Pano to be my choice for the great look while being fast and easy to navigate. And all for the listeners can get started for under only $1 today, under $100, $1 today. So go to Cloud Pano, try Cloud Pano Plus, Pro Plus, add revenue to your business and continue doing what you love. Go to Cloud Pano, go to shootingspaces.net/Cloud Pano and start your $1 trial on Cloud Pano Pro Plus today. And I want to say I just spent today doing 2 Cloud Panos. So it's something that I do every day. And it's been really, really easy and really, really great. And I just want to say I'm now have my 360s in 2 tiers. I have the standard tour, which is the Zillow tour. And then I have the premium tour, which is Cloud Pano. And all my clients, and it's twice as expensive. I charge twice as much for Cloud Pano, but they are absolutely picking Cloud Pano 100%. And they're happy to spend the money. So it's been really, really good to me. So everybody out there, be sure, check out shootingspaces.net/Cloud Pano, and you get your first tour for $1 trial. So it's a good thing.
$1, why not? No reason not to.
Oh, you know what? I think that they had to do it to start it. They had to charge something. So I don't know this
No,
for a
my
fact,
point being, for
but
$1, there's no reason not to try it.
well, listen, here's the thing. Let's just for a second talk about 360s because it is so popular. When you're getting out there in the 360 world, you've got choices. You can go to cloud. You can you got to use a hosting service. So you just got to have something to host it. So you can either let Zillow host it. You can have, there's one company, I forget how you pronounce the name of the tour company. Was it Zula or
Koala,
Koala, whatever.
Koala.
And then you've got Cloud Pano, and you might as well try each of these. And if you're going to do Matterport, try Matterport. But you know what? I've really settled on, and it's working great for me, is the Cloud Pano. So, and my clients really like it. So, what are you doing? Tell us now. You're getting up in the morning. At what time? And you're driving to, you're doing 2 stores a day, is that correct?
2 stores a day. Well, this week happens to be, let me move closer to the mic, there's an echo. This week happens to be the longest week that I am doing for them. I am shooting 8 stores this week. I've shot 7 already, 1 more tomorrow morning. And wow. Yeah. And essentially, in order to not disrupt the normal business hours, I'm getting in about 2 hours before the store opens, shooting, and I'm out of there by the time the store opens. Some stores open 10, some stores open at 11. So I'm either starting at 8 or 9. Tomorrow morning, I'm starting at 9. I'm about a half hour away from my site. So, I'll leave the hotel about 8:15, head over there and go to shoot. And then in the afternoon, evenings, I'm typically shooting about 4:30 or 5, depending on when the store closes. So I'm going for about 2 hours at that point. So, and basically what I'm doing, every shoot is in a different city. So, after my morning shoots, I'm getting in the car and driving to the next city, checking into the hotel early, spending the day, and that afternoon in the hotel doing work, whatever it is. And, about 4:30, depending on my shoot time, I head out to the next shoot. So it's been like a rinse and repeat for the last few days. Minus the first day, Monday, because Mondays were only starting in the afternoons. This way, I don't have to leave on Sunday. So Monday I came down, and then tomorrow we have a Friday morning shoot, and then I head back home finally.
And are you working with the same person, or you go to each new store in each new city and you get a new person, a liaison to work with you?
No, I'm working just directly with the manager of the stores. So the first 3 stores I shot, I had a representative from Rolex, who's the director of visual merchandising. For those that don't know, that's basically the person who's responsible for making sure that everything at a store looks good and looks presentable. So, and every major company has visual merchandising department, and they came with me for the first 3 stores just to kind of show me what they're looking for, and so I can learn exactly how to, I guess, properly place everything and do stuff like that, and
watch that you don't take anything, right?
Yeah, well, there's cameras everywhere. You're not taking anything, and then at that point, it's just I'm on the road all by myself, just going from one to the other. I have a contact at each store. I know beforehand who the contact is. I call them a day or 2 before just to confirm we're all set and go in and shoot. So
is it kind of like shooting the same store over and over again, or is one, though it is slightly different, they all are similar enough that you're just going in there and you know exactly what you're going to do?
Yeah. At this point, 7 stores in, and I have 40 more to go over the next 3 months. It's pretty cookie cutter at this point. All the stores kind of look the same. They have the same designer, although some of them are a little older. You can tell some of the designs are a little older. Let's say they put in the kiosk. They call it a kiosk, but the Rolex booth. 6, 7.
Yeah, the horseshoe booth. Right?
Exactly. So let's say they put that in 6, 7 years ago. It's a little bit of an older design. Some stores you go in and it was done more recently. So, but they have, each store has like a trademark, 2 or 3 things that are at the booths. There's always like that green, that royal green Rolex color.
Yeah.
So, every store has that big royal green, 8-foot tall, glossy thing with their gold logo.
With the clamshell. What is
exactly.
it?
The crown.
Crown.
Yeah.
You probably know everything by now.
Yeah, with the crown logo. So so every store I've done had that, which is, I'll tell you, it's a pain in the ass to shoot that because it's glossy as hell.
Shiny, glossy. Yeah.
It's like literally glossy. So that's where my CPL filters come in really handy.
Oh, great tip.
Yeah, and you have to. I've learned how to. I perfected in the last 3 days how to shoot.
And what angle to shoot it
exactly.
at. Right. Because CPL filters. Everybody thinks CPL is the silver bullet for taking care of glare and floor glare and window glare. It's not. It works at different angles to the light.
So working this week, and I've been using CPLs for a while, and you kind of just go with the flow, but now really being focused in on it, from what I've discovered, the closer you can get to a 90-degree angle or source that you're shooting, the better,
more effective
glare reduction you'll have. And obviously shooting straight into a glossy or something window, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, barely.
So once I never just consciously realized that, although I've been using CPLs for a while. So now going in, I know that I have to, just come over, get as close. Obviously, I'm not shooting something at a 90-degree angle. If the Rolex logo is on one side, I'm not shooting a 90-degree angle the opposite way, but try to get as close to that angle as I can to avoid the reflections. So, but it's shooting jewelry stores. It's not easy. It's a pain in the ass because you have all these display cases that have LED lights. So I have like 10 black cloths with me. I'm just covering everything when I go into these stores. It's a process.
Now, are you shooting from the outside? I'm envisioning you're in a mall. Are you shooting from the outside of the mall and the front of the store? So you're bleeding off to other businesses or other parts of the mall?
Some are in the malls. Like tomorrow morning, I'm in a mall. Some are standalone stores.
Great. So you're shooting the outside of the store and the malls, in the mall, and on location too, right?
Correct. I'm shooting if it's a standalone store, I'm shooting the outside of the store. If it's a mall, this morning I was in a mall, and this afternoon I was in a standalone store. If you're shooting in the mall, you're just shooting that store only, being conscious to avoid any other brands, because they don't want to have any other brands on there. I am shooting wide shots of the store just for the store also, because my usage agreement goes to not only Rolex but to the store too. They get usage rights. So as a favor to the stores, we're also doing 2 or 3 wide shots of the whole store, and in those stores you can see all the other brands that they carry. But when we're doing the closer shots, which are more geared for Rolex.com or Rolex USA for that matter, I have to be conscious there to avoid other brands. And if we can't, then we'll have to pull them out in post.
Gotcha. And are you finding that the 7th store is easier than the first store? Obviously, right?
It's been getting quicker. Today I finished in about an hour and a half, and you're kind of, I guess you're getting your groove and you're getting your workflow down, and you become accustomed to, like, all right, I'm going to start with the exterior, because especially like when I'm doing a store in the afternoon, for instance, at 4 or 5 o'clock. Let's say I'm doing a store at 5 o'clock and they close around 5. I can go at 4:30 and get all the exteriors while they're still open. And especially during the daytime and daylight, because you're barely seeing into the store. You're seeing just reflections really on the window, and come in for 5 when they close, and already be done with all the exteriors, and then just hop in and bang out the insides. So
now, are you using lights? I don't think we talked about this. Are you doing all ambient and bracketing, or what's your technical process?
So I am shooting all ambient light. I'm using a white card just to get proper white balance, a gray card to get proper white balance and everything. But it's funny because this is my first week, so I really overpacked and brought a lot more gear than I needed to, which is fine because I didn't know what to expect. Yeah. So I said I'd rather have more gear than less. But I went to my first store on Monday evening, and I was with the director of visual merchandising, and we were doing wide shots of this huge store. And I was like, basically told him I'm only going to use my flash on the closer shots because this store is so big, the flash is not going to make much of a difference. And he's like, no, none of our other photographers have been using flash. And I'm like, okay, ambient light is my jam. I love it better. That's pretty much all I do. So let's do it. So I've essentially been taking brackets, manual brackets, if you want to call it that, because I'm using the camera engine, but I'm not using their what they call HDR mode, which is brackets. I'm just manually adjusting the shutter speed for each section of the shot I know I need, shooting it, because if I'm exposing for a big wall in the back that has Rolex.com, and then you see the display cases with the watches, which have LEDs built into the display cases, it's significantly brighter. So, I'm getting exposure for the wall, I'm getting exposure for the display cases, then I might get exposure for the shadows in the dark areas because these stores are very moody. And and I plan on just, using luminosity masking, which is usually how I edit all my stuff, and editing it that way.
Yeah, I find especially, I've been coaching several people lately that are sort of new to photography, and they're doing like zillions, 40 different images, sending me an example of how what are they taking to do a one final shot, and they're doing 40 pops or doing 40 brackets, and I'm like, that actually gets to be against productivity, because you start auto bracketing and you don't know what you need. I think it's really important if you're doing a shot, you got to remember, and you have your flow. I'll do the background or the lowest exposure first, and then the different areas or zones. And you don't need to do auto bracketing. I haven't done auto bracketing in a long, long time. I just find it faster to change for independent zones or areas that I need. Are you doing the same thing?
Exactly. When I know what I need, I'll always take my base exposure first. That's usually my first shot. And then, what I've been doing here is I'll take an exposure for the display cases. And then if there's any really shadowy areas, then I'll just take an exposure for those, and just to bring those up a little bit. And then at that point, I'll go in, I'll take any other exposures if I need to, but I'll also go in, and that's when I'll start putting up black cloths and reflections and stuff like that. It's very fast paced, but, especially like, for instance, the green Rolex glossy wall I was telling you about, you can see almost everything in the store there. So look, if that's facing a window, which was the case in one of the stores, it is what it is. I can't block out. There was a wall of windows. I can't block out 8 windows.
Couldn't you bring a 40-foot, a really big black? Like a 2 stands, 40-foot or 30-foot stand, apart, and do a black against the whole.
I don't have a 40, but I have about a 10 or 15.
20,
but there was one space. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah,
it was basically like if you're picturing a pizza pie. It was like a quarter of a pizza pie. So it was like a 90-degree angle with a curve, the curve, and the Rolex logo was right in the corner, and that curve was a wall of windows. So, and they're giving us 2 hours to do these shoots. So, I said,
and you can't have an assistant, right?
Can't have an assistant because of COVID. I'm the only one allowed on site.
Would you have normally have an assistant for all these shots, for all these shoots? Now that you know what you know?
Probably would have brought one for the first week, and then after realizing what's going on, probably would have realized it's not that necessary, and probably wouldn't have.
Gotcha.
But, I guess it all comes down to budgeting, and, if they would have covered it and all that stuff. So, but, this wasn't even an option. When I first got this inquiry, what are we, the beginning of August now? I first got the inquiry from them in March. So it's been a 5-month process. Now, granted, COVID had a lot to do with that, because the original start date on the original RFP was June 1st, which is 2 months ago. So everything got put, June 1st, and it went to June 15th, then July 1st, and it just keeps getting pushed off, especially because at that time, New York was a disaster. And that's why a lot of the other regions in the country are on hold now, because now New York is kind of back to it, and everything's open in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, this area. And, I know some other photographers who are in the Midwest or, in the Southeast region who also got inquiries from Rolex, and they're not hearing back. So I have a feeling that Rolex is just, putting that stuff on hold because it's so bad down in the South, for instance.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to bring up one thing for you. There's a tip for our
Okay.
our listeners. I'm sure you're bringing everything in from your car every night between shoots, right? Into the hotel room. I'm asking you, but I'm going. I'm actually telling you, you are bringing everything in, right? You're not leaving
everything
in
except
your car,
for two things: my light stand case, I'm not bringing in, and my grip case, which has just a bunch of clamps and like nonsense stuff.
Okay,
but all
my story.
What's that?
The reason for me to say that is this reminds me of I was doing a Spartan race at AT&T Park in San Francisco. Where the Giants play. And I got a ride home the first night from one of the other shooters, and he gave me a ride back to the Holiday Inn in San Francisco. And we're getting out of the car in the underground parking, and I grabbed my case and my other bags. I had a lot of stuff, but I'm bringing it in, and he's like, he's getting out of his car and just walking. And I said, "What? You're not grabbing your stuff?" And he goes, "Oh no, it's safe. It's okay." Well, the next morning, he went out. His car got broken into. He had everything stolen. And so, if anybody out there is doing work and going into a hotel, if you don't care about it,
even at your house.
Even at your house, absolutely.
Bring the expensive gear in at least. Like I said, all I keep in the car is a bunch of light stands and like a grip bag.
And you could do the shoot tomorrow if you didn't have that.
So correct. And exactly. Yeah. And, I just keep a bunch of light stands and a grip bag in the car, which has clamps, gaff tape, a bunch of crap like that, which if those two bags got stolen, $500, it's all replaced. So you're not talking about something crazy. But my camera case, my flashes, all that comes in here and with me.
And what camera are you using? You got the Mark IV?
The R, EOS R. I'm nervous.
Oh, you're R now.
Yeah.
You're completely R.
I'm completely R. I'm actually considering buying the new R5. Did you see that?
Why? Because I've heard from Sam Chen said it appears it's not, there's nothing life-changing. Why would you go to the new one?
Dual card slots?
Oh.
That's not life-changing?
It's life-changing if you lose your work. Although we don't want to go to that conversation.
I mean, look, I use the Cam Ranger 2, and the Cam Ranger 2 has a SD card slot, so I do get that backup. There's supposed to be better dynamic range on it. I mean,
how many megapixels?
It is higher megapixels. I think it's like 400 megapixels. It's like 43 or something, which look, honestly, for real estate doesn't make a difference. But the fact of the matter is, I'm doing more commercial work now. Yeah. So the better resolution, I think, will, come to be expected from these bigger brands and these bigger companies that I'm working with. They want these files to be 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 pixels wide when I deliver to them. So
that's great.
Awesome. What about you? I see you're posting a lot of design stuff too.
Well, my design is a little different. I'm doing commercial business spaces. I've been shooting for a company that rents, and they're going to be big because they rent out office space. And this is going to come in. This is a huge thing. This is the future. That the people are going to work at home, and they're going to rent out space by the hour when they need a conference room or an office, different size conference rooms. And I've been shooting that, and I've been loving it. Except I get there at 5 a.m. because I've got to be finished at 8:30, like you're dealing with. And I do a sunrise twilight, so that works out really good. And
that's like our buddy Chris Miller.
Well, Chris Miller does 3 a day. I don't know how he does 3. No, but no, I think it's it's very preferable to me because when I was in the movie industry, I used to be at work at 4:45, 5 o'clock anyway, and work 16, 17 hours. So this is no problem, but it is bigger, and I'm mainly shooting ambient, and I'm doing several big flash pops. And I'm kind of excited. Adorama sent me the new 600 Pro, and it's not new, but it's new to me. And I'm going to get to try that out and play with that. So I'm going to see. I've always been bitching that people don't need a 600, although I always bring a 600. But you don't want to. You can't. I can't imagine hand holding this thing. It's just too big and heavy.
Yeah, I have a 600, but once I got that 300 Pro, which you convinced me to buy.
Tell me, do you love it? Is it the greatest thing?
I mean, it's it's funny because now I use like an AD200, and I'm like, this thing isn't powerful enough.
And it's the shape, the body, the build. It's not just apples to apples. And but this 800 Pro, or the 600 Pro, I will say it retails for $900, which is wow. But they did come out with a manual for like 700 and something. So but I'm going to be shooting with it the next couple of weeks and for my review, and I'm looking forward to playing with it. But when I'm doing this commercial space, I'll pop a big couple of flashes and try and get light, but I just find I rarely use it. It's just easier and as good to just use the ambient light, and it's just the way it is,
Yeah, if you know how to, I mean, that's pretty much the way I've been shooting lately, is all ambient and all natural light. You know how to use the light and use it to your advantage, or flag the light you don't need. You can do some incredible stuff. But I'm gonna stop us for 1 second so I can tell everybody about HD Photo Hub.
HDPhotoHub.com.
Yeah. HD Photo Hub is a back office system designed just for real estate photographers. Give your clients a place to download their photos, make updates to their property website, get flyers and social media tiles, and so much more, all on a platform that is branded to your company. Check them out today at hdphotohub.com. Again, that's hdphotohub.com.
Well done, sir. Well done.
So, Rich, is that a route you want to go? Do you want to try to start doing more commercial, more design type of stuff?
Well, here's what it is. I mean,
you're the real estate photography master, sensei.
Oh God, hardly. Although I gotta say, I have been getting better, and that's something that everybody out there should hear. That even after 12 years, you can get better. I had a shoot the other day, and it happened to be a nice house that was easy and white. And it was, I've been shooting a lot at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon because I'm doing twilights also. So the light is good, everything, but my shots are getting really good. And I'm like, man, this is easy. It's really nice. But these commercial shoots are great, and I really like them. And I'm also shooting for several designers and doing like bathrooms. And it's great for me now because I like use one speed light, and I am just ripping it up, and it's turning out really well. Some of them have their own challenges, like trying to get proper colors. That's really important because the designers, if you're doing real estate, it's not as big a deal. It's important, not as big a deal. And you're shooting for these designers like Rolex. You got to get that green right on, man. I mean, that's your job. And what I'm doing is just great. But I will say, everybody out there, charge appropriately, because I always look at it as I'm giving it's taking 10 times longer to shoot a shot than it is for real estate. And it's only getting me about a 10% better image in reality. But the editing is also taking 10 times longer. It's just the whole process is so much more work for whatever reason. You know what I mean? It's not that much better. It is better, but it's just your minutia. You're dealing with you're amping out over these little things, and you got to get them perfect. But I'm finding that it's working out great for me because I'm pricing it right. I'm doing it right. I'm able to do it quick enough. And my clients have worked with enough that they're knowing what they're going to get, and I'm knowing what I'm doing. So it's working out. But I'm really enjoying the commercial stuff. But man, it is so much more work. And that's what you're dealing with.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's more work for sure, but in the same sense, the pay is significantly better. So it's, it's not, apples to apples over here. And, I don't know many people who can make more money without doing more work. Obviously, everyone's goal is to make more money and do less work. But my point being is, if you're doing real estate and then you want to transition to do some design work or architectural work or even some commercial work, you're charging significantly more, so you should expect to be doing significantly more work. Yeah. Literally this week, I tell my wife when this job first came in, like, I'm going to be away for a week at a time for 7 weeks. That's, and you get paid for that. Part of when you're sending out a proposal, you have to take in consideration that, my wife is going to be alone for 7 weeks raising 2 kids, or well, not raising, but taking care of 2 kids for 7 weeks. So, I got to charge appropriately for that.
Yeah.
So,
and you've got it, you're on, you have to deal with travel time, you charge for travel and you charge, it goes into the big thing, but you put that into consideration, I'm sure.
Yeah. So basically that's what's happening with this job. I'm essentially charging them a fee per store, which includes, shooting, editing, and usage rights. And then that's the same fee across the board, no matter where the store is, whether it's, in Pennsylvania or Vermont or, Virginia. That fee is the same across the board. And then I'm charging them a travel fee per store, which is different depending on how far away from New York it is. So for instance, I'm in the Philly area now. My travel fee per store is significantly less than when I'm going to Burlington, Vermont, which is 6.5 hours from me, or when I'm going to Pittsburgh, which is also 6.5 hours from me. So my travel fee is kind of prorated based on how far away I'm going.
And do you feel something really important to bring up? Because how do I approach this? There's nothing worse for me than when I misquote a job because I either really want the job or I just had a brain fart and I charge too little. I get on the job and I'm by the end of the job, I'm just going, man, I'll be bitching and editing. So you probably totally thought about it. And in hindsight, after this first week, are you happy with the amount you charged for the work that you're putting out? Did you feel that because you've been doing bids for a long time, so you have some experience there, but for the new people bidding, what do you say to them as far as to be happy?
Yeah. So I did have some experience, doing some bids at this level, most specifically with Gucci, but all those stores or those shoots that I've done for them were all one-off stores at a time. This was the first RFP I received that had multiple stores. And it's funny because when I got my first RFP from them in March, they only wanted me to shoot 10 stores. It literally said 10 stores in New York and surrounding areas. And I was like, okay, 10 stores is still a lot of money. It's a lot of money from a company like that. And I was a little unsure how to approach it based on volume and all that. So I called up our good friend, Tony Roseland, who was nice enough to help me because he does commercial work like this all the time. And I said, look, I need some advice. I got this RFP here. It's a big one. They want to do 10 stores. I've done a bunch of one-offs, but, I've never had to send a proposal for multiple stores. So, he gave me some advice. And, if you asked him, he'd tell you that, all he did was just push me a little and encourage me. But he gave me some advice of the best way to do it and best way to approach it. And I sent out the bid based on 10 stores. That was my first proposal to them, and a number that I was very happy with. And then about 2 weeks later, they said, we think we can work with your numbers. Are you interested in taking on the entire Northeast? And I was like, what does that entail? And they said 47 stores. And I was like, I'm very interested. And the good news is, I didn't even, at that point, once I sent them my proposal based on a store, I didn't lower my price based on volume at that point. My original price I gave them was based on what was a little bit of a volume discount based on 10 stores. But once they said, all right, that price works for us, We want you
Yeah.
to do more. I was like, okay,
That's the way it should
price
be.
per store is the same amount. I'm just going to charge you travel based on the new locations. So,
Mhm.
and that's how it's going to be going forward. There's a couple stores that I'm going to shoot for them once this project is over in early 2021, stores that they're rebuilding and all that stuff. And I have already said to them, when we shoot these one-off stores, you're not going to get that same volume discount. When we're doing one-off, it's going to go back up to my regular pricing. And they said, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
They're dealing, what to have you, that they like working with you, that's so valuable. And that's so great for them, because they've got bigger things to do than to worry about.
Correct. Especially now, they don't even have to deal with someone coming. All they got to do is call up the store and say, I'm going to have someone come in here and here.
Exactly.
And that's it. And yeah, for people out there, if you're getting requests for proposals from bigger companies like this, I would say it doesn't have to be a global company, but even a company that's a little bigger than a mom and pop that has maybe a couple of locations in your regional area, whatever it is, these companies have marketing budgets. They have, it's not like you're sending a proposal and saying, I hope it's not too expensive for them. Same thing with Rolex. Like, they have a marketing budget. And as long as I fall within that budget for the year, and especially now with COVID, they literally told me this because Rolex sponsors the US Open, and they sponsor all these other big golf tournaments, the PGA tours and all this stuff. And none of that's happening now. So all this money that they set aside for all these sponsorships for these events that aren't happening, they have to spend it. You know what I mean? They have to spend it on marketing. So I guess, knock on wood, I got lucky in that regard, but
interesting. There was a post in Mike Kelly's group, the Facebook group today, where I guess some company guy posted that the company would like the pictures, but because of COVID, they don't have enough money now, and this and that. And I think Mike's reply was, turn it around the other way. Reply back to them, well, you think you're having it hard? I'm a one guy here and having to deal with COVID. You're a national company.
Mm-hmm.
They're pleading poverty, and they're like this huge corporation. So I'm not saying to abuse it, but stand up for what you should, even in these times.
No, sure. And you know what? I was speaking to all these jewelers when I go into these Rolex stores, and they're all telling me how busy they've been, and it's been crazy. Yeah. They're doing nonstop, and
people are buying stuff.
It's tough to compare, because obviously people that are buying Rolexes and luxury jewelry they're in a different
exactly.
Class of money, but still, people are spending money, and these companies are making money. So in the same sense.
It depends on the business. Obviously restaurants right now are going to probably not spend a lot of money on advertising. Mm-hmm. It's a tricky thing, this COVID. It's been, I don't want to say in any way, shape, or form it's been good for me, but I've had 4 months now with my kids home from college. They're leaving next week.
Are you excited?
Thank God, I'm really excited. No, because I get my office back, I get a little part of my life back. But on the same terms, I've been enjoying their time. We've been having a great time. I've been working, maybe not as much as normal, but I've been working pretty much. And these commercial shoots are making up for it. So but
it's great for you, especially your kids are older. They're in college, and mm-hmm. Within the next year, 2 years, whatever it is, they're going to be going out and finding their own places, and they're not going to be living with daddy and mommy anymore. So
we'll be down in Mexico, baby. We'll be doing this podcast from Baja, baby.
Hey, look, that's
if
fine.
I can get good internet down there, I'm set, man. So that's great. And so you're on your first week of 7 total?
I'm on my first week of 7. We're going to be going first week of August now. This project is going to be going to the last week of October, the first week of November. So I'm essentially I'm going to be on the road every other week. First, they wanted me to commit to 7 weeks straight, and I was like, that's not going to happen. I just can't be away from home for 7 weeks. I'm pretty much going to lose my business if that happens, and probably lose my marriage. So, nevertheless, I'm going away every other week, and in 2 weeks, I'm going to be down in the Virginia area, I think. The cool thing is, I also, between Vegas and the PFRE conference, I got to meet so many people And now I know people in all these different cities. So, like we had Nima on last week. I think I'm going to get together with Nima when I'm down in Virginia or in Maryland in 2 weeks. So it's pretty exciting, get to go out and have some dinner with a bunch of these people that I know.
And Nima was the one who put this post in my tips and tricks group. And so let's just answer the question: what's transitioning from real estate to design commercial work with Brian Berkowitz? What would you say, really quickly, to by the way, it got 16 votes. You were the top of the vote. But what would you say to somebody that wants to feel a little love, baby? What would you say to somebody that wants to transition from real estate to design work, or just, let's say, some kind of commercial or something beside design work, even Airbnb or whatever? What's one little tip or something you'd say?
Well, the first thing obviously is build yourself a portfolio.
Yes.
I mean, that's, I guess it goes without saying, but I'm going to mention it. You're not going to get hired. Who was it? Was it Mike who said, or Scott who said, show the type of work you want to be shooting? So if you want to get commercial work, then don't show residential real estate work on your website or your portfolio.
Absolutely. And have a specific, if you've got a website that's doing real estate and any kind of design work, and you're doing weddings or animals or puppies and whatever, no. You've got to have one specifically, at least do it for the genre, or at least shooting spaces. But you're saying go one further and have a website that only does not showing real estate. Is that correct?
Well, that's what I have my real estate website, which I've had for, I don't know, the last 8 years since I've been doing real estate. And it's still there. And I probably haven't updated in 2 years, just because I don't, shoot as much real estate anymore. And I don't want to say I don't care, but I'm not actively looking for new real estate clients at this point. So, and then I have my own site, which is under a completely different name and different brand, which, has all my commercial and
Is that your Twilight Artistry? Which one?
That's my real estate site. My Twilight
What's your commercial?
BrianBerkowitzPhoto.com.
There you go.
And that has my commercial portfolio. I have a residential and a commercial. And even though my goal is to get away from residential in the long term, I still have both up there for now, because I don't think my commercial is as strong as I want it to be in the long term. So now, and I still am getting some residential work. So until I decide that that's it, I'm done, I want to completely veer off from residential, I'm going to have both of them up there for now. But, I'm building my commercial portfolio now. Unfortunately, I can't put any of these Rolex images in there based on my contract with them. But nevertheless,
you can, you probably have a page just for your sponsors with their, your customers with their logos, right?
Yeah, I have a client page. I just can't use any of these images in my actual, my public.
But you can use their logo, put Gucci, Rolex. That ain't bad. What are a couple of others you've got up there that you might have heard of?
Ketone, Ketone. They're Italian fashion designer also. I don't know who else I have.
Okay.
I've shot for Wall Street Journal. They're pretty big.
But I think really important is, a lot of people say, oh, should you not, definitely don't shoot for free or whatever. Sometimes building up a commercial page, you could be doing work that shoot restaurants for trade. I've traded food for restaurants, and that some people may say, no, don't do that. But I was cool with it, because I got experience. I got free food for a year or two. And I also got images for my website. And I think, I think that getting out there and shooting some commercial spaces is well worth it. Look, even if they're not, not doing Rolex, but you're going to be doing something like that.
Well, look, I had this exact conversation, I think 3 or 4 days ago, with Jen Venier. Jen, she's a design photographer out in, I think, Virginia. Maybe I'll meet up with her. And I got turned on to her stuff through Tony Colangelo, because I think she used to coach with Tony also. And she does she doesn't do real estate. She does all interior design work, but she's looking to get into commercial. So she called me up for some advice. And then I said the same thing: build your portfolio. And that's step number one, is to just, get a nice portfolio of images. And she asked me what your thoughts on shooting for free. And I think I've said this before. I'm a big proponent of, I don't want to say I'm a proponent, but I'm kind of on the belief that there's nothing wrong with shooting for free if it's going to help you. Look at it as doing a personal project.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a school of thought that says, well, if you go out and shoot for free, you're devaluing your worth. Now, there is something to be said if you do a shoot for free for, let's say, company X, and then company X calls you again 2 months later and says, okay, we liked what you did for us. Then you're going to go in and say, hey, but you got to pay me $1,500 a day now. They're going to be like, oh, you did it for free. So when you do shoot for companies for free, you have to, I think the best thing to do is find companies that you don't think will hire you as a paid job, because it's going to be hard to break that barrier once you do a free job for them the first time. It's hard to say to a marketing guy or whoever you're dealing with at a company, yeah, I know I did this shoot for free for you, but my value is really $1,500. And I'm going to be like, no, that's not your value. You just did it for free, So look for companies that you don't think you're going to probably work with, or look for maybe companies that don't have professional photography, because usually they're either uneducated or usually because they just don't have budgets. And then if they don't have budgets, they're not hiring you anyway down the line. And then, you can get some stuff, get some experience, get some stuff in your portfolio. And, that's the first step to trying to get commercial work, is having work to show people. I think part of the reason,
pertinent work though.
Exactly. I think part of the reason why I landed Rolex was because of my experience with Gucci. And I literally, I do this exact same thing for Gucci. Yeah, I go into their stores and I shoot their retail stores. Exactly.
Uh-huh. No, I agree. So. I agree. And I am in the middle of a bid today. Trying to get it's a 50s and older community, and it's got pool, it's got weight rooms, it's got all these different areas and things. And I specifically got called in for the interview. I know, because I have specific work I had actually shot that building for a realtor, and that was a really good thing too. Is in real estate, I sometimes shoot the common areas, and whether I'm going to use them or not, or the agent pays me for them, I'm there, and now I've got something I pulled out of my Dropbox, all these pictures of pertinent buildings and areas and gyms and things like that. And it's the whole reason, I'm sure, the reason I got it, because they look here and they're just going, well, the work looks good, but it's exactly what we're looking for. It's what we're hiring them for. So it's absolutely critical to have that, the pertinent work.
No, for sure. And the only other thing I can think of, I don't know if there's like a highway right outside my hotel room. Do you hear all these cars
like
flying
airport.
by? Yeah, there's a highway right here. Anyway, the other, I think, important piece of advice I would say is, if you get calls for jobs you're not comfortable shooting, I'm serious. Don't be afraid to take them, because that's the only way you're going to get better, and you're going to learn. And you know what? The truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, if you go in and shoot a commercial job and you're not comfortable and you're not sure of your technique or whatever the case is, if you're professional and you know what you're doing, you're gonna at least produce half decent results. And those half decent results are going to be significantly better than probably what they have already. So even if they're not as good as, some of the top guys' images out there, that's fine, because chances are your work you're providing is better than what they have already. And it's not necessarily always about the money. Look at it as a learning experience. I mean, that's how, you get better.
And your budget's, what your quote's probably going to be less than the really experienced guy. So they're going to maybe do that too, even if their other guys' photos are better. It's a bit more in their budget. But you were 100% right. If you can't fake it till you make it. And the bottom line is, cover your ass with the amount of images you do, or the amount of areas.
That's what I've been saying as a podcast host for years. Fake it as you make it.
But I think it's super important to just get your ammunition, get your shots, so when you get home, you can put it in Photoshop and bail yourself out and make anything look really good. So, it's And so are you editing your photos, or what are you doing for editing? Because you got a lot of editing coming up.
I have a lot of editing. I'm most probably going to be working with an editor, just because there's too much. I'm basically delivering 5 final images per store.
5 photos per store. God, that sounds great.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of images.
Not compared to my last shoot last week.
I'm shooting.
My fault.
I'm shooting more than 5 though.
I know.
I'm shooting more than 5, and I'm proofing them to them, and they're going to pick their final 5 to edit on each one. Now,
do you do basic edit for them to proof, or you do it straight?
Yeah,
you can't. No, it's camera. Yeah.
No, it's basic edit. It's basic color correction. Yeah. Straightening my perspective, stuff like that. Only because there's no reason for anybody to see this straight out of camera. Absolutely. Even a little bit of enhancements, even for proofing, will look significantly better. And, it's the type of thing where, you spend, 10, 15 seconds on each image, just, adjusting the highlights, shadows, a little contrast, get your vertical straight. And then it's good enough just to proof to them. And
well, one good thing is they already, it must feel great to you. They already, like when you work for a client several times, they already know what you're doing. So you're probably going to be okay. And that's a great feeling. It takes a lot of weight off your shoulders.
Well, this is week 1. So I think like next week I'll be able to rest a little more comfortably when I proof everything to them. And they're like, okay, here are our picks. Then I'll rest assured, like, okay, I did it right. Yeah. I did what they want. But we're still not at that stage yet. I still haven't proofed them anything yet. So
you're still in the honeymoon. You're not even in the honeymoon stage.
Well, look, the first 3 shoots,
first date
there was a representative from the company.
Did you make your first date, or did you make out with her on the first date? You don't even know yet. So
exactly.
You're figuring it out.
Exactly. Taking it day by day.
Okay. So. Wow, what a great pertinent conversation for our buddy Nima Mohammadi. And Nima is he's our little golden child. He's just the guy that has really come through and shooting gangbusters and comes up with great ideas.
And look, don't be afraid also to, I had a conversation with Nima last night. He texted me actually. And he texted me 2 nights
ago. He wants to do what you're doing, man.
I'm sure he does. Well, he texted me 2 nights ago and he said, sorry if you don't want to put this out there, Nima, but he basically said, I got an inquiry for a commercial job. I've never done this type of thing. What do I do? So it was for a tile company. I don't remember exactly. So I actually told him, I'm like, you should probably speak to Adam Taylor, because Adam Taylor worked for a tile company for years.
There you go. Yeah.
I was like, I can tell you my commercial rates, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to help you because you're in a different demographic. We're at different places in our career. And I've also never worked directly for a tile company. So I think he spoke to Adam and he sent them a quote, and he told me last night, he texted me, he said they came back to him and said, that's your day rate. We're looking to pay $300, with full rights and stuff. So
righteous money, dude.
Yeah. Wow. So I said, all right,
$300
for a full day of commercial photography. Yeah. So it's, you know what?
See, that's what I was talking about. You might take that $300 just because you want the job, you want the experience, you want the portfolio. But I'm telling you, at least for me, I'm going to be bitching the whole time, shooting, bitching, driving home. I'm going to be bitching, editing it, and I'm going to be bitching when they pay me. I've learned I'm not going to take silly quotes.
Strange, but I almost feel like in that situation, you're better off taking the job for free.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because when you get paid a lot less than you're worth, you're not treating it. Well, it's not even that. You're not treating it as like a personal project for growth. You're treating it as a job.
Exactly.
And when you're getting underpaid for a job, you're never happy. But if you go and take a job for free, you know that it's for personal growth, and that's the only reason. Kind of like when I go out and shoot a personal project, it's not. I'm not looking to get paid. I'm not looking to make money of it. It's because it's something I enjoy, or I want to get better, or I want to learn more. So, you're almost better off, I think, taking it for free than making $200 off a job, because then you're looking at it as a job and you're just going to be miserable. So,
all right. Well, great. Our guest today is Brian Berkowitz from Long Island, New York, and he's doing these Rolex shoots. Awesome, man.
It's funny, Rich, like it's probably been like 1.5 years or 2 years since we just went on a podcast and just chatted.
I know. We should.
We always have
valuable information.
We always have. It's even funnier because I'm on the road so much now. I'm driving all over this week.
Yeah, you listen to the podcasts.
I listened to our first episode, the first 10 minutes of our first episode, just because I was like,
I can't even. I got to do that. I got to do that.
I just wanted to.
How was it? How was it? What do you got to do? Two sentences.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've grown a bit. Let's put it that way.
Oh God, I don't even have a clue what we talked about. So I never listened to our podcast. I said I've been there already. I don't need to listen to it. But I don't really listen to podcasts myself right now.
Really?
I know I'm back into my music phase, and I'm on a big kick in working with learning charts and learning how to read sheet music for harmonica, believe it or not.
Oh,
but
nice.
I'm working on some very serious stuff, jazz, and I've been spending all my time in my car playing my harmonica while I'm driving.
While you drive.
Yeah, I don't recommend. Don't do that. But anyway. So, you getting a text there? Are you looking at what time it is? We got to go.
Yeah, I'm
running low on time.
Stuff, but definitely get some podcasts going because I'm in the car all day now. Especially now, I'm just listening. You want to hear my new jam, my new podcast of choice? How I Built This. It's an NPR podcast. How I Built This with Guy Raz. And
I love NPR. That's all I listen to. NPR.
Yeah, and so it's a podcast called How I Built This, and I recommend it highly to everyone. And He basically interviews founders and CEOs of every major company you can hear of, and how they started the business and their life story, and it's pretty cool. Let me see. Like the one they released this morning was from the founder of Zumba, and just tons of awesome episodes. There was one I was listening to on La Colombe Coffee and the Peloton and this and that, just all these cool companies and how they came up with their idea and how they started the company. It's pretty cool.
I think there's going to be some really interesting things after this whole COVID thing is over, if it's over, but how businesses are doing and the new businesses that are coming in, it's going to be very different. Like the company I'm shooting for with those rental spaces, man, that is going to be all remote shooting. And I'm wearing a mask almost all my shoots now until I can't stand it anymore. I'll take it off if I feel like I'm going to pass out because it's too hot. But I'm still wearing a mask and changing things, and sometimes it's good for the better, Anyway, so,
I have to wear a mask in all these stores. It wasn't even an option. I mean, Rolex literally said to me, "He's like, are you willing to do this? Because this has to happen on all the stores, or we're not letting you do this job." So, but it's all right.
Okay,
better safe than sorry.
Well. Yeah, no worries. Well, listen, it's getting to that time, and I want to just close up with talking about iGuide. iGuide is a turnkey solution for those looking to expand their real estate photography business beyond photography to add 3D tours, laser accurate room measurements, that's a mouthful, square footage calculations, and professionally drafted floor plans. Our listeners can get their first 5 iGuides free by adding the code Shooting Spaces in the referral section at purchase. So just go visit goiguide.com to learn more. Okay, check out iGuide. iGuide.com. Okay.
A little bit of a tongue twister there.
Everything's a tongue twister for me, baby. I can talk fine, but it's trying to read and talk at the same time. No, but what a wonderful, I think we should do more of this. I think we should talk
just
about
chatting.
Things. And you know what? We were also talking about how this is supposed to be a real estate photography podcast. And I feel really strongly about what I teach, my groups, my coaching, everything I do. I don't do only real estate photography, but I teach it. And I believe that there is room for strictly real estate photography. A lot of people don't want to be designers and don't want to be, go outside their comfort zone. But I think it is worthwhile that we can veer off of the normal path and talk about other things that are related. And I think this is really turned out well. And I think that probably, what would you say, 75% of real estate photographers probably would like to continue and move up, and well, if it's moving up or whatever way, but move into something different. So I think it's pertinent.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know what the number is, but look, there's more money to be made in design work, architectural work, commercial retail spaces. Mm-hmm. So, and it's just I guess a subgenre of real estate photography. So, if you're doing one and you're doing real estate photography well, there's no reason why you can't do other work really well too. And, it's not much different. Composition's a little bit different,
I bet
versus
we could have
other
talked
stuff.
about that.
But, you can use all your same techniques and produce really good commercial work. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's very many transferable techniques.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And it's all good, and one makes the other better. The more you shoot design work, you start looking out there. And one thing I've been telling everybody, and the big thing in 2020, remember when 2019, 2020 was going to be a great year. We're going to go.
I remember asking you at the end of 2020, what are your goals for 2020? Well,
kick ass.
Boy, did
that change.
I guess our goals for 2020 are just to survive now at this point.
But one thing is really important, and I took away from the PFRE conference, and I definitely have done several things besides personal projects. But part of personal projects is on every real estate shoot, if you get a nice kitchen, turn your camera vertically and get a design shot and just do it. And even if you don't give it to the agent, get it for yourself, get it for your portfolio, and get the experience on how to shoot it, and maybe shoot it ambient. So I'm just saying, keep creative and have an open mind.
Exactly. Set yourself up for when that opportunity comes to be able to. Was it Scott who said at PFR? I know we were about to go off.
Oh wait, was it Scott or Mike?
What was this? I think it was Scott who said something about luck. What was that line he said about luck?
Well, I don't know, but luck.
Because he said, like everyone talks about how sometimes you have lucky breaks and all that. And look, part of how I got started, how I got started in commercial work was a little bit of luck. And I don't know if I ever told that story, but it was a little bit of luck. But what he said was, you got to set yourself up so when you get lucky, you're able to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And that's, like you said, shooting a couple of more unique design shots here, or going out and shooting a couple of shoots for free. So when you do get that lucky break or that call randomly, you say, yeah, look, this is what I do. I'm ready to take it. Let's go do it. So.
Or a headshot session could turn into you're shooting the owner of a brokerage. You didn't know it at the time because your kids play soccer together. You're shooting the dad, and it turns out, so what do you do for a living? We never talk about that. Oh, as you're shooting him for headshots, he goes, oh, I'm a CEO of a brokerage. Yeah.
Well, that's what it is.
You to shoot all of my buildings.
I was shooting a few months ago, Gucci's customer service center that they opened in New Jersey. And my contact there called me and said, the CEO of Gucci is going to be in from Milan, and he's going to be on site that day. Can you take a headshot of him? And I don't know anything about headshots. And I was like, dude, you're going to give me 5 minutes alone with the CEO of Gucci? Yeah, I'll figure it out. Did you use
your phone? Did you use your phone? Okay. Because that would work really well.
Exactly. So I was like, yeah, you're going to give me 5 minutes alone, with the CEO of Gucci. I'll figure it out. I'll manage. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, just to be in a room with him for a few minutes and just, get him to like me. So, he...
Shade F5.6 and just shoot.
Yeah, that's it. But but it's those opportunities. You take advantage of it. And I don't know if he went back and said anything about it, but they're giving me a bunch of travel shoots all over the country at the end of this year. So, it's all these small things that when you
taking me to Milan when we go to Milan?
No,
you need an assistant.
I'm not going to Milan yet, but I think at the end of the year, I'm going to be in Chicago. If we can fly and we can travel there. I think I'm going to be in Chicago for Gucci, and I might be in North Carolina.
I've got your light, Mr. Berkowitz. Where do you want it?
That's it.
You want diffuser on it? Okay, there you go. Anyway,
is that a tissue on a flashlight?
Yeah, tissue on a flashlight. If you're for all those people that are visually impaired, and you should see, you got to watch our podcast, because hey, we're the best guests we've ever had. I
guess so. It's it's easier than finding guests. I can tell you that.
You know what? Okay, we're going to get out of here, but before we do, ask the guys. We want you to take advantage of Ask the Guys, and also send us a message. You can send it to Brian personally, Rich personally, my YouTube channel. You can send it to my freaking Facebook page, whatever. But if you have somebody you want to
give out your cell phone number and let people text you.
I 555-5555. And no, but everybody can find me. Let me tell you, I get 50 calls a week, 50 messages a week from people. That's why I had to start doing coaching. I just couldn't help everybody. It was too much helping. But anyway, so I just want to say, please subscribe to Shooting Spaces. Check out shootingspaces.net, where we have all our podcast, all our presets. We're going to do some webinars. If Brian ever gets off the road, he's got a really, are we waiting to talk about that webinar? Can you talk about it?
I'm away every other week, so we can let's schedule something.
No, but do we want to talk about the what is it going to be of, or do we want to make that a surprise?
We can talk. We haven't scheduled a date, but he's on board, so we can talk about it.
No, the one you're going to do.
Oh, the one I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Well, that we'll do eventually, but when I'm not traveling.
Okay. No,
but I plan on doing that on Infuse workflow, because I do a lot of that.
Go.
I do a lot of that. I do a lot of that in commercial photography,
right?
Commercial real estate photography.
Yeah.
I use Infuse a lot, so we'll talk about that. And I think after our podcast a couple of weeks ago with Barry Grossman, I think we're gonna try and do a webinar with him on luxury real estate. So, which is exciting. And that we can do sooner than later, because like I said, I'm on the road every other week, so we can plan it for one of those weeks I'm home. And let's get that going, Rich. Let's try to schedule that.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That'll be an exciting one.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Good. Well, listen, best of luck to you. Go knock them dead. And, hopefully you'll want to do it. And the great thing is you're off for a week, and you'll go at the beginning of the end of the first week, you go, I never want to do this again. And beginning of next week, you go, I think I can do it again.
I felt that tonight going into my seventh shoot.
Have a nice, you got a nice whiskey or not? Come on.
I'm waiting for us to stop recording. I have the bottle right there.
Blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
None of the bars are open here, so I got to just buy my own bottle. I sound like a lot.
So whatever you do, is Rich and Brian just saying, please check us out in the future, and thanks for being with us. And go in and find new spaces to shoot.
This has been Shooting Spaces. For more episodes, visit shootingspacespodcast.com and visit our education site at shootingspaces.net.